Welcome to High Heel Talk, where we discuss high-end topics in unfiltered manner with our high heel panel. This program is proudly brought to you by MCG Flooring.
Elevating homes one floor at a time. MCG Flooring, where family and quality meet.
And today's panel is...
I'm Nez. I'm a psychotherapist, singer-songwriter at Zen Life Counselling.
and mother of...
I'm mother of a 23-year-old daughter.
Beautiful, Karen, Dr. Karen Weaver.
Hello everyone, my name is Karen Weaver. I am an author, publisher, life philosopher and mother of 6.
Beautiful. Charlene, darling.
I'm Charlene and I own Circles of Hair, 7 times multi-award business of the year, and I also do education in business and mother of 2 boys.
And you are ambassador for...
For L'Oreal Professional Pro.
And this program is proudly not sponsored by L'Oreal Professional Pro, but we wears it.
That might change.
Girls and ladies, thank you for being here. We are going to talk about parenthood today, because we are all here parents, and I think it's a topic that will be close to many, many viewers' hearts. First question, how do you know and how difficult it is not to be helicopter parent? And I'm going to read the official definition of helicopter parent for those that are not sure what we are going to talk about. A helicopter parent is an over-involved caregiver who hovers over their child, monitoring, micromanaging, and overprotecting them. Driven by love and anxiety, parents intervene in tasks that children can and could do themselves. Whom do I give the voice first? Maybe mother of 6, Karen.
Hey, the word mother is in smother, I'm all for it. all of my kids are different. It requires a different mother for each of them, like really honestly. I got told the other day that I am a helicopter pilot, and I was like, a helicopter mother, and I was like, oh no, I always aspire not to be.
Yeah.
But I probably do have them a lot. One of the philosophies that I have had with my kids ever since I became a parent was that I'll do things for you till you're 10, and then when you turn 10 you're going to learn how to do them for yourself. So I try to ensure that that's but you know, it's a tough world out there. We got to protect them and also give them room to grow, so it's interesting.
And may I ask the age of the child that mentioned that you are helicopter
She's
parent?
15.
15.
15, looking for more freedom, so there you go.
And that's my point. Children today know the definition of it, and they feed on it, and they make career out of it, making our anxiety even higher, consequently making us more helicopter parents that we would be. Charlene, darling, your experience.
Well, I think my boys would love if I was a helicopter pilot, but a helicopter mother, but just, you know, having a business since, you know, before the kids were born, and then my husband having a business, I think we were just too busy to sort of model coddle them and be there. And, you know, sometimes, you know, that's what grandparents are for. And that's why our grandparents just sort of stepped in and sort of took that side of that role, while, you know, now we, you know, in those days, you know, like, you know, 25 years ago, us as parents, we try to do the best as we can because we want to grow our livelihood up and trying to build something that we had. You know, we started with nothing, and you just work because society said so. So sometimes, yes, we were more focused on the business than maybe the children. So no, I was definitely not one of those mothers.
So you won't be accused, darling. You won't be accused. Nez, darling.
I think there was definitely a time in my life where I myself was a helicopter parent, and a lot of that came from my own projection and my conditioning, actually, because I had helicopter parents who were doing the best they could with what they knew. And in turn, I thought that's how you be a mum. And so, yeah, now I definitely have better boundaries. She's an adult. There are times that I really worry, but I just trust her autonomy. and I trust that she makes the right decisions. But I can resonate with helicopter parenting.
So my question would be, I think that helicopter parenting always existed, and every family is different, every circumstances are different, every individual is different. But I think so many behavior patterns today got a name, and social media makes sure that they make career out of it. Because if you're a caring parent, at certain age, a child will always perceive you as a helicopter parent, as a micromanagement. Don't tell me what to do. In effect, males don't ever grow out of it. Don't tell me what to do in any age and any stage, yeah? So I also think that maybe different ethnic groups have different approach. I think you being European,
Yeah.
I would imagine I'm being European.
Irish,
Well, who is
I
not?
lived outside.
Yes, exactly. I grew up in front of our apartment playing games. Still, I got called, Basha, it's time to eat. Yeah, another half an hour. You know where I'm coming from. Now you cannot have children walking on their own. So that's another question. Is it more difficult to be a good parent today than decades ago? What do you think?
Well, it's really hard because now my children are growing up, so not parenting right now at this moment. But I suppose you always do, even doesn't matter how old they are. But I think society now, I think it's harder today as it is today because, like you said, social media, times have changed. And, it's a lot more challenging, even if you've got young kids or, the older ones with mental health and, you're going through their journey. And it's not as easy. I mean, we didn't even know what mental health was, years
it didn't
ago.
have a name, actually. Correct?
We didn't even know that. It was just like, get up and do what you have to do. It was like, we didn't recognise it.
That's right. And we
And
didn't.
AHD and all these things.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And it was always there, but it was never carried, darling.
About.
Well, my eldest is 29, and when I think back to when he was a child, it seems so simple. He would be outside playing with his dog or out in the streets in Ireland with his friends and on bicycles and stuff. But you always knew where they were, but there was community then, and everyone knew where the kids were.
Yes.
Or someone would ring you down and say, see your son up here, do you want me to send him down? Sort of things like
Yes.
that. Everybody watched out for each other's kids, so I miss that. But also, there wasn't smartphones. They didn't have
Yes.
phones. They didn't have the iPads. My son would love to go to bed at night, and I put on an Action Man VHS for him. It was so simple, whereas now I still have young kids. My youngest is 10, and she just wants to be on, Roblox and doing things with her friends and stuff. So you have to, it's like a battle to just say, no, sorry, we're doing this, or, it's interesting. And then that affects their mental health, all of the
gaming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because gaming is huge, and they're sometimes so addicted and, they're going into their room, gaming till God knows how long in the middle of the night. And then they have this other problem about sleep. And they're not, they can't sleep because then their mind is so wired,
It's so much harder today to raise children, and there's so much exposure to everything. Who are they playing games with online? 1 in 3 children are exposed to porn before they're 10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Who are they talking to? And online bullying has created major mental health issues for our
Huge.
children.
It is huge.
So
And
it's
people don't
impossible
talk
to
about it.
monitor our children and their safety because of the internet.
That's right.
It's a very different time.
That's right. And, I was listening to Esther Perez's podcast, and somebody asked her on her podcast, was it easier to date in 70s or 80s than to date now, like parenthood dating? What a question. The answers were unbelievable. Yes, of course, I would rather date then again, because people were meeting in person, because you could have blind date, because you did talk to people,
People did
because
talk
you
to people.
bump on someone and 6 hours later you had a great conversation. But we cannot reverse the times. So how can we connect to our children in terms of preventing screen addictions?
It's really hard, but we have to have very firm boundaries. We have to have screen time.
Yeah.
And we just have to do our best to give them the conditioning, the belief systems that are supportive,
Yeah.
and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Because the internet exposes them to everything, and
Yeah.
we can't control everything.
Yeah, no, we can't.
But there is really good things on the internet,
is there.
and you know, every business needs it, and that's where everyone advertises as well. So it's like, you know, you're giving screen time, but you know, when they're like over 18 or 20, you know, it's sort of harder to control. And you know, if you're building a business, or you know, it's
But
it's the
that's
other
a
way.
different kind of worms. We're talking as a parent here at the
Yeah.
moment, and we're talking about children that are not in business yet, or you know what I mean, children under 18. Let's
Under 18, yeah.
Well, I know from personal experience.
Yes.
It's a battle. Sometimes it's like a war zone to just. But then what I try to do is get into their consciousness and just empower them to make better decisions. And I leave them with it, let them stew on it in their rooms without it.
Yeah.
And then they come back with a compromise. And then you get to see some negotiation skills and things like
Yeah.
that. Did you say, wow? you know, so that's how I'm able to manage it. But, you know, I'm not perfect at it. Sometimes just have it, you know. It's just like, rather than, you know, but I have 6 to juggle with. Well, two have flown the nest. 4 are still at home.
Yes. Nice,
There's
darling.
only so much you can do when, you know, you can't micromanage them, can you? They've got the gadget, they're online, and all their friends are online, so how dare you take that away? And it's a social network where they connect,
That's right.
so it's really difficult.
That's right.
And they get really angry because of the dopamine reduction.
That's right.
So then we have the dopamine, constant dopamine, and then you take it away and they're fidgeting, and there's, like you said, ADHD on the rise, and children don't know how to sit still, they don't know how to be.
That's right.
And they don't know how to connect in person a lot of the time.
That's the most tragic
I feel
thing.
so
for me.
sorry for them, honestly,
Yes.
because they don't know any different.
Yes.
But we know different because we experience different, we seen
Yes.
different, and we've seen different results, you know. But I feel so sorry for them having to have this as their foundation of life.
And
Yes.
unfortunately, they're not leaving the house as much as, say, our generation and the generations before. They're just in their bedrooms a lot more.
That's right.
Because they've got
There's no
everything there.
disturb sign if they can. Yeah? That's right.
And they have their own rooms, they don't share. And like in Ireland, we all slept on top of each other nearly because you had a few rooms, a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Whereas they all have to have their own room with their own things, and you know.
Which in a way can work against.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like in Europe, we grew up in apartments. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. And I had most beautiful childhood.
it's like
We
a
grew
village.
up in apartment.
Yeah.
I didn't have my own room to start with. Charlene, how did you grow up in Italy?
No, my mum was born in Italy, but
okay.
then she came to Australia when she was 8. But I mean, you know, obviously, you know, I had a great childhood. But, you know, getting back with children, I think, you know, myself having boys, you know, at an early age really pushed the exercise. Just get them out.
Yes.
You have to run them like kelpies, you know, so they're totally tired when they
Yes.
come home.
Yes.
And, you know, even when the gaming and everything, you know, you just have to every day exercise, train, you know,
Yes.
go back into the community and then do, you know, I always get my boys
Yes.
to go back and start training and coaching little kids for basketball, whatever it is. So it's really up to how strong the parents are to say, get out and start exercising,
Yes.
you know, just for your minds.
Yes. Karen, you also grew up in 6 children family, correct?
Yes, I'm the eldest of 6.
Wow.
So I was the one who had the free reins and all of the freedoms to be curious.
Yeah.
My sister coming behind me a year and a half later was like, no, that didn't work out so well for Karen.
Yeah.
You're not getting those freedoms. I was very blessed. I watched my dad build his dream home on a hill. I think that's where I learned how to manifest things. I watched him work hard and build his dream home in the hill, and Mum got to stay home with us. You know, that was the thing. And we lived in a mobile home for a while, and it was just a beautiful. I only remember unconditional love. Yes, we had hardships, but it didn't feel hard because we were all banded together making
Yes.
it work.
And yes, you did have arguments, I assume, correct?
Yes, but that's healthy to be able
Yes.
to, you know, to be able to do that with another person rather than on a screen and the keyboard
That's
warriors.
right.
Yes.
And that's right. Ogo, Nes, darling, about your memories or your comparison of childhood and children now.
I had a very difficult childhood, but I also had a lot of fun. Outdoors, camping, with my brothers,
Yeah,
and within the big cultural community that we shared.
yes.
And, you know, it's the reason I do this work today, actually. A lot of the gifts from my childhood that were once kind of painful.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Well, you know, I won't call any names because we don't do current affairs here and we're trying to address global topics, although we're based in beautiful Australia. I have seen recently on all over the news somebody who was arrested for most horrific attack he was planning to kidnap 11-year-old girl. We all have seen it. And my question to you goes, how much information is not too much to give on a news to avoid a copycat psychopathic actions to repeat again? Because what the news is already showing before he gets charged or convicted, exact plan how he was doing it, where the kidnapped child was going to be present, what tools. And I find it sickeningly disturbing. And although I'm a campaigner for awareness, I think there should be a limit how much is disclosed on the big screens.
Well,
Please give me your take.
Well, I didn't even know that you could actually, you know, that they would actually advertise that in the news, because I'm not a news lover. I joke, as soon as the news come on, we're not allowed to, my husband's like, you turn that crap off.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you just don't believe
Sensation.
half of it.
Yes.
So, you know, but, you know, I didn't even realise that they would actually do that.
I didn't hear the details.
With the tools that were bought at certain hardware store. Again, I'm not calling any names. First of all, we're not sponsored. Second, I don't want to be called responsible. Thirdly, this is global topic.
I don't watch the news, but I did catch this one. And as a mother of 4 girls, I was just like, it makes me want to hold them tighter. It makes me want to, you know, just. And I remember years ago when I had little ones, and I was trying to hold, like, I wish I had them all in Leeds when we would go out, and there was, you know, there was only 2 years between them all, and I would have one in a pouch, 2 in dummy buggies, and the other 2 at the side. And I remember going out, and I remember one day just sitting going, shame on you, the person that makes me watch every move that they take.
This is why we have
I, as a
helicopter
mother,
mums.
this is why I can't allow my daughter to go over there on her own and have her freedom. I have to watch her, and they all have to, you know, they all have to be together. And I remember I was just so like, shame on you for making me have to take away the freedoms from my children.
That's
because
right.
I'm afraid of what you would just spontaneously or even premeditated do. It was just horrible. So
This is why we've stopped our children from running around on the streets, because of all this news exposure.
That's right.
This is why we have helicopter mums.
That's right. And helicopter parents.
We hear way too much.
And that's why they
We
watch
see way too much.
social media.
And social media is even worse.
That's right.
I've seen
That's
content I can't unsee.
Because of course in our times crime did exist. Of course
But no,
certain
it wasn't
horrible,
widespread.
but it wasn't broadcasted 24
No.
hours from multi-screening screens.
And now it's even worse. It's on the phones, it's on the tablets, and it's on the television, and it's on other channels on the internet.
How do we reverse?
What Naz said is really important, and I think we need to emphasize, once you see something, you can't unsee it. It's already there, it's tattooed in your mind. And like our kids as well will see that if it's, you know, streaming around, or they'll see the reaction of it on us and have I know, it's crazy.
Now, another question that very often comes to me, so many parents obviously consciously are trying to be a best friend of their child, to be a buddy. Now, how much is too much? How much is too much to be a buddy without losing the respect and the authority that you're trying to obviously contain?
I have no authority whatsoever.
Okay,
And I ain't friends with all of them either.
okay.
I'm just mum.
You just mom. Are you a buddy?
A baddie.
A baddie, are you a friend?
If I have to lay down some laws, I will. But generally, I've always edged on positivity and second lead for all of my little teenage girls.
Yeah.
They're going, Mom, you know. But so I always try to keep a positive, nice energy household, and so they would be counteractive to that. You know, you've
Yeah.
got grumpy teenagers, girls coming up.
I think it definitely changes your relationship depending on how old your child is, you know. And now that my boys are older, you definitely have a different relationship with your children because you're not mothering them. They're adult boys or adult girls.
That's
and
okay.
And then you become more of a friend. You
More of the
enjoy
buddy,
their
yeah.
company. You have, you know, real
Yes.
good conversations with them. It's not like you have to do that mothering side.
Yes.
Because, you know, I find that you have to sometimes step away because they have to learn by their mistakes and they
That's
have
right.
to pretty much,
That's very
you
valid.
know,
Yes, that's
fuss up
cool.
or whatever,
Yeah.
if I'm allowed to swear.
Ness, were you always?
I agree.
Were
I
you
agree.
always a baddie?
I don't know if I was always a buddy. Yeah, I was actually, no. When she was younger, I was more of the parent.
Yeah.
And then as she transitioned into adulthood, I'm more of a friend now, a buddy.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, definitely more of a buddy, but it's confusing sometimes. I catch myself going into mothering and I have to,
Now I have
and it's
another.
really hard.
I have another question, and I will start with you, darling, Charlene.
Yes.
Because you're the queen of social media.
Yeah.
What are the biggest hits you're getting on your Instagram? Million viewers? Views? I saw recently a beautiful blonde business owner yachting and opening French bottles of champagnes. And the question is, do we spend our children inheritance or do we save it? You know which post I'm referring
Yes,
to.
I know. When I was on the boat and I was like, yes, I'm spending the kids' inheritance. And
Yeah.
I mean, that went to millions and millions of views. But everyone, it wasn't hate. Everyone was like, good on you. You know, my parents didn't, work hard to leave me all the money, you know.
Yes.
And I sort of did that post in a sort of fun way saying, you know what, it's okay to spend money because
live
you
your
know
life.
to live your life because I think there is so many women out there and especially that I talk to, they're sort of thinking that I want to spend the money on themselves or on these amazing these amazing holidays.
Yes.
But do it because they've got their journey and our kids are going to be okay, but you have to live your life as well because we went without for so long.
Yeah.
And, everyone did like that post, which was good. I mean, it could have gone either way, right?
Not too bad, yeah.
Because I get a lot of hate.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Yes. Kids lead or learn from our actions.
Yes.
And if we're sacrificing all of ourselves to just keep it in a bank so we can, then that's what they're learning. So I say live life. Life's for living and loving, and the more you do it, the more it'll
And
come back.
Ness, darling?
I agree with everyone here. I agree that you've got to claim your one life here on this incarnation.
Girls, see you
And show
on the
up.
yacht.
Yes, yes.
And
Spend
next
your
time-
money.
Thank
Don't
you
leave
so
anything
much.
to the kids.
Invest in yourself.
Thank you. Thanks, Hanging Talk. This program was proudly brought to you by MCG Flooring.